No. It's too peppy. I told you. There are multiple murders in this film. Why is it so peppy? Fine, whatever. Can it? Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Mark.
How's it going?
Well, I should say happy 2026.
Is it
last
happy?
Time. I didn't. It's something. It's already been a year and 2 weeks. So, yeah, the last time we left, we did our New Year's episode, which dropped on New Year's Eve, just before New Year's Day. So we haven't technically had an episode in 2026 yet. So happy 2026. We're here doing another year of Blood and Black Rum Podcast. Probably not much is going to change, you know? Yeah, we're deep into 350 something episodes. So probably not much is going to change. And we have got a pretty good routine that we do. And I'm going to stick with it.
You know,
yeah,
it's going to be year 12 for us.
It's true.
They should put us on, like, when you think of, like, the Mount Rushmore of podcast, right? You got, Mark Maron, who just,
gave it
finally called it quits.
Yeah.
You have, I don't know, Rogan, I guess.
Rogan.
And then you have like probably some I would put like Dan Carlin on there that I love, nice long.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think a lot of people are like hardcore George Carlin fans tuning in, but Dan Carlin. But
listen, if you besmirch the good name of George Carlin on this pod, I will fight. I'm sure, and then us, we're right up there.
Yeah. We've been there for quite a while, so 12 years is something. But yeah, like I said, I don't think we're going to change all that much. But today we are covering a movie that, again, we weren't really doing any sort of themes or anything, so it was kind of up in the air, open to what we wanted to do, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to get back to some of the giallo films of the. What we initially started this podcast for was to do, giallo films and, spaghetti westerns and all kinds of other sort of like Italian and, those types of cult films. And we haven't done actually that many of them in the past. So the one that I picked today it was kind of worked out serendipitously for me because I just reviewed it for coldsploitation.com. And so I thought it would be, it would fit in with that. But then also, I thought it would be nice to cover this because it is right in our wheelhouse. And it's something that is not really well known. So there's probably not that many podcasts that have done episodes on this film. I would venture to guess, maybe I could think of one or two that may have covered this in the past. But another reason that it's not really that well known is because it has never really had a wide release in America. It's probably been around if you are very, very hardcore into like the bootleg industry. You might have seen it around and you might have gotten like a poorly subtitled version of it. But it has certainly never been widely released in America. And it also was never dubbed in English. So very unlikely that you would have seen a quality version of this, which you could even understand, even if you were to have seen it. It might have been hard to come by an actual, translated version of the film. So it all is a perfect opportunity for Blood and Black Rum podcast to kind of venture out and do something strange and weird and cultish like this. And I do want to thank Celluloid Dreams as well, which is a fairly new boutique Blu-ray company putting out mostly UHDs, 4Ks, and sometimes venturing into Blu-ray territory as well. They've recently started, and they have been very, very much engrossed in the giallo film. Their first 4K was a giallo film. Their second 4K was a giallo film, and then their third, which is this Blu-ray version of the movie, is also what you would call a proto-giallo, or one that was sort of predating the general consensus of when the giallo proliferated in Italy as a film genre. And then not only that, this technically would not be considered a giallo at all because it's not based on a novel. It's not based on an Italian yellow book story, because this is a authentic story written for film. So, all of that to say, we're covering A Hyena in the Safe today from 1968, or also known as, in its original Italian, Una Hyena in Cassaforte, which literally translates to a hyena in the safe. So,
one good thing about this film never being really brought over and distributed means we don't have a billion stupid, silly titles like,
true.
One key cigarette goes again,
No, yeah, that's true. I mean, it's really
five Europeans and a woman.
You're right. That's it. There's really no other. I think there is it looks like there's a Greek title as well that includes Amsterdam in it, which would be a reference to the Bank of Amsterdam that's in the film. But you're right. There's no other titles for it. It was always known as A Hyena in the Safe. It's never really been popularized. That means that it never got alternative titles. And it really had a fairly limited release, I think, as well. Both in Italy and then, obviously, as I said, it didn't really get any sort of release in America. So no dubbing, no nothing. So yeah, I suppose I should start by saying you've never heard of A Hyena in the Safe, right?
God, no.
And I'll be honest with you, I had never heard of it either. It's something that I think, again, people that go into the boutique Blu-ray, area, they are looking for these types of titles that have maybe been missed or just discovered and uncovered based on did we find the negative somewhere, hidden away in somebody's attic, and somebody had it and they were like, yeah, do you guys want to buy this giallo that no one knows about, because we've got it available. So it's actually pretty cool. Restoration for film is really cool, and every day these companies are discovering, for good and bad, lost film that we just really have never seen before. And I think A Hyena in the Safe is one of those. I mean, obviously people had seen it in Italy, but, it's been 60 years since the film released almost. And, it's never really been talked about. So I think it's pretty cool, to get a release. And I guess we should start by saying that, like I said, this is a proto-giallo. So it's not in the giallo spectrum, primarily because it was at the very start, very, very start of the giallo craze, for one thing. The giallo generally started around if you count some of Mario Bava's more gothic films, then around the late 60s. But in general, what we consider the giallo film today, specifically black leather bound, gloved killers and, flashy killings and, potentially, beautiful, but, grisly cinematography, things like that, a killer and a rain slicker. Those tropes didn't really come about until the 70s.
You just described urban legend.
Urban legend, and I know what you did last summer, right? There they are.
Slickers.
Yeah. those tropes never really came around until the 70s and, more popularized by Argento. And, we did one of Argento's earlier works too on this not too long ago. But this one is definitely at the very beginning of what you would consider giallo. And as I said, doesn't really fit any of the main tropes of the giallo. Besides the fact that it is Italian and it has murderers in it. And it's a kind of a mystery of who done it and why done it and all of that. So I think, from that, we'll kind of leave it for the introduction. We'll go into the rest of the movie as we get into the proper part of this episode of the podcast. But first, let's take a break and talk about the beer that we have on the show today. It was my turn. And it
was.
I think we've talked about this here and there, but it is getting very difficult now. Again, like I said, we're over 350 episodes, and that means approximately 350 different beers. We've obviously we've repeated a couple, and we've done some other things, but we've done, I would say, a good 300 different beers on the show. And over time, it gets really hard to find different things. And I will say that I've just gotten kind of bored with seeing some of the main stuff that's coming out, at least in our area, that's available for distribution. But one thing that I noticed when I went to the beer store today is this new beer from Southern Tier Brewing Company.
Also known as the forgotten part of New York.
That's right. And we've had Southern Tier on here a couple times, and they're okay. They're not my favorite brewery by any means, but I think that they do a fairly good job with some of their beers. I was interested in this one because it is sort of their spring lineup, or at least getting ready for like St. Patrick's Day. So this probably would have been a little bit better suited for like our upcoming like Leprechaun-ish type podcast episode, whatever we're doing for St. Patrick's Day, but
not Leprechaun. Shut your mouth.
I think we've pretty much come to the end of those, but this one is their, and I believe it's new. I don't think they've been out before. It's their Irish Coffee Cream Ale. And
it has.
Oh, it has. Okay.
It's not on their website, but I see in a local Instagram like beer place post like it's favorite seasonal's coming back.
I've never seen it before, so that's what it stood out to me. It stood out to me for that, and because cream ale specifically, because you're a big fan of cream ale, and I know that, and so I thought it would be an interesting beer to do. I'll let you go first. What do you think about the Irish Coffee Cream Ale from Southern Tier?
So if you've ever had a Southern Tier beer, which is based out of the Southern Tier of New York. Draw a blank on where.
It says brewed in Lakewood, New York.
Okay. So, but if we've done quite a few of their beers on the podcast because we get them quite frequently. They've been around for quite a while. Their big claim to fame is doing very alcohol-y beers, big ABV beers with also big combos of like flavors, like a Twix style Imperial Stout or a sugar cookie golden ale Imperial that we did like a couple Christmases ago. And so they're like, though we always kind of like the beers, like they're fine enough. They're not anything that we ever really gravitate to, because usually when they have these mashups of like these like either sugary type of styles mixed with a style, it's usually too on the nose and artificial tasting, and it kind of just makes the beer awkward.
Yeah.
Now here, you would think Irish coffee. Cool, an Irish coffee stout. It'd be great. Well, the fact it's a fucking cream ale really makes it weird. Now, I get it, because it's like, Irish coffee, you have to have Irish cream, so, cream ale. But a cream ale, if you never had one, is like a mix between a lager and blonde ale. It's got, a higher ABV, more breadiness to it, but also a crisp sugariness of an ale. So here, having this really big, prominent, in your face, over the top Irish coffee flavor kick you right in the balls and be right up front, and then with a cream ale body and crispness to the end, it's not bad, but it's just really off-putting and weird. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I think if you were, again, to do that, you have to find a better balance between the idea that you have and the beer style. And here, like we've said before with any other Southern Tier that we've ever done, they don't ever quite find the balance because it's too on the nose, too prominent. It overshadows the style of beer to the point where, okay, like, is this drinkable? Yes. If you're a huge fan of Irish coffee, I'd say give it a try, but like, be warned, it just slaps you right in the nuts. Like, it's just bam, right there. And then you got the cream ale, and you're kind of like, now what?
Yeah.
Like, if this was like a dessert beer, like on St. Patty's Day, you just got done with your corned beef and hash, and, sure. But like on its own, like as a thing, like, no, it's just too off-putting.
Yeah, I would agree. It definitely took me by surprise when I tried it first off. I didn't really expect it to have such a very strong, like, vanilla-y sort of coffee flavor to it. What I think really I notice prominently, and I don't quite care for it, is this very artificial vanilla-y type flavor going on in it. I think it has the same sort of impact that hit me when we tried that other beer, the Great Lakes Cookie Stout, if you remember that one, which had
no, that was Southern Tier.
Was it Southern Tier?
Yeah, the sugar cookie.
No, not the sugar cookie one. The Great Lakes, it was like a cookie grab bag or something like that, where it was a cookie milk stout. It has a very similar vibe to it, but I will agree too. Yeah, the sugar cookie one from Southern Tier is a very similar example of this very artificial vanilla-y flavor that's trying to be like the cream flavor of like an Irish coffee. I don't know. It doesn't sit quite well with me, and I don't really care for that like overly artificial sweetness taste to it. So I think that's what's really off-putting to me about this Irish coffee. I think it's okay. It's drinkable. I definitely don't see myself wanting to have like multiples of these at a time because it's got a very particular flavor to it. And while I think that it's creamy and drinkable, I don't know. I think that overall sweetness is really not doing it for me. So it's okay. I definitely wouldn't get it again. If this is like a seasonal for them, I probably wouldn't care to get this one again. And I do feel like, as you said, it's kind of a strange style overall to combine this Irish coffee flavor with like the cream ale consistency. And I understand what they were going for. It just didn't really work for me, I feel like. But if you look online, at least on Untapped, it actually has a pretty fairly high rating. Almost 4 out of 5. So what do we know? I don't know. What do I know? I would say that. Yeah, the only thing I would say is it does taste very artificially to me. So if you're not one of those fans of like really adjuncty beers that have like artificial flavoring added, I would steer clear of this one because it's not like the vanilla is like a very a realistic or vanilla bean type flavor. It's definitely more artificial. So it's okay. I wouldn't get it again. All right, let's talk A Hyena in the Safe. So first things first, let's talk about the fact that this film has no one in it. From 1968, even, as I said, there's really none of the actors in this movie are notable. They either didn't do anything else, in some cases, or they had maybe 1 or 2 roles. Many of them, I think, the one of the main women in this film, she was a model. Really, the only person that may be recognizable is Christina Guioni. And if you watch the film in the credits at the end, the psychedelic credits that they put in, they give her like special thanks because it's like, thank you for being in this film. You're really the only one anybody might know. So we're going to give you special thanks for this one. But yeah, it's not like, like normally with giallo films, you might see a few notable names that you've recognized from other giallo films. In Italy, it was kind of a small production area, so it would be very, very common for production companies to reuse or try to contract with actors for like 3 or 4 movies. And that is not the case for this one. The director, Cesare Canavari, not really super well known. He did have a couple of films under his belt, specifically Italian movies that he did in the 60s and early 70s. Probably the one that he is most well known for, and whether that is a good thing or a bad thing, is The Gestapo's Last Orgy, which is a Nazi-exploitation film.
Are we gonna do that one of these days?
Yeah, we'll have to do one of those. I don't have The Gestapo's Last Orgy, but I do have SS Experiment Love Camp, so we could do that one. But yeah, that's that. We have not really have dived into the Nazi exploitation genre. And again, very strange, but probably proliferating from the not so distant past of Nazism and fascism in Italy. It was a thing. So that is another. Besides A Hyena in the Safe, Cesare Canavari, known for that one. And that's pretty much it. The other stuff he did, probably not super well recognized, except for maybe Metallo, which was another sort of almost, it was a spaghetti western style film, very similar to something like Django. So that's about it though. And we've never done any of those movies, so again, no connections on Blood Bike Run podcast to this. So let's start out with the
no Franco Nero to be found.
No, that's true. That's true. Let's start out with the plot of this movie. I've talked a lot. You can go ahead and describe the plot.
So basically, the story is a Lupin the Third, Mission Impossible, Get Smart style, Clue whodunit mystery. And I think one of the things I when you came to me and you asked me to do the film, when you say probably not gonna like it, it's not really giallo-y or whatever. I appreciate that. I appreciate that there's no jack off running around with just black gloves and a razor whispering into a phone the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
And every film needs to have that. But it's a nice enough like whodunit mystery and set up the idea of these people. They just got done doing a bank robbery, the Bank of Amsterdam. They stole a bunch of jewels, and the jewels were hidden away in a safe. And because there's 6 people who were in on this plot in that safe, to get the safe open, they each have a key. They all have to have the keys to open the safe. And one of the members is missing their key. The plot ensues. It's kind of stupid in some parts too, because again, like, you lost your key. How are you trying to fuck us? And it's like, why would him losing the key fuck you? It doesn't make any sense. But
sure,
it's fun enough, and I like the fact that they're all like different. They're not all Italian. You got the pissy German Klaus who looks like fucking Ric Flair with his hair. He just needs to go, woo, do a few struts and drunken cameos. You got the Englishman with a limp and a cane. The poor Spaniard Juan, who has the meat sweats like nobody else and pounding cigars.
Yeah, I love the fact that he just like has they've been there for like a couple days throughout this movie, and he just has an unlimited supply, like a suitcase. He just brought a suitcase full of cigars, just like you know what? I'm going to be here for a while. I'll come prepared.
Friggin', also too, what the hell? The Frenchman, the opening, he's got a nice heroin addict.
Yeah, Albert.
And I love the fact that one of the ladies, she's from Algeria, she's from Tanzania. They're like mixing it up.
Yeah. It's and again, I had mentioned this in my review. I mentioned it to you. I definitely feel like there is a very the director Cannavaro, who co-wrote this with screenwriter Alberto Penna. I do feel like there was a lot of influence from Agatha Christie in this. Not just for the fact that this is a very similar setup to And Then There Were None or 10 Little Indians or whatever you want to call it. The other very inappropriate name for that book as well.
I think you mean Agatha Caulfield.
Right, yeah.
Arnold Shortman's from Hey Arnold's favorite author.
That's right.
Agatha Caulfield.
I think that this movie is very much inspired by that because again, Agatha Christie would often bring these very disparate backgrounded people into one very intimate location, such as in A Hyena, a safe, where they are all brought into this one massive villa. Let's not be, stingy with how we describe this villa. It's absolutely ridiculous. It actually became, apparently, it has become like a park in Italy, and various pieces of it have been portioned out to areas. Like parts of it's a college, parts of it's a park.
Why is this beautiful villa have this wonderful pool covered in a biodome?
Yeah, it's like I guess maybe it's supposed to be because it's heated, because it looks like it's giving off steam at times. So it's like in the Italian climate. I know. Yeah, it's very.
It just looks so tacky and something that the late 60s and 70s would create. You got a nice pool there. You need a giant fucking the glass for that biodome is like the glass you would see in the 90s in the bathrooms. It's like you can kind of see who's peeing back there, but it's long,
It is very much like that, or it's almost like they took a bunch of just plastic wrap and just all over it. It's just we'll keep the steam in. Don't worry about it. There's a little plastic wrap here and there. Yes. But this villa is absolutely ginormous. It's crazy. The film gets a lot of mileage out of just being at this villa, for one thing, because,
the whole film's there, base.
What'd you say?
The whole film's there.
Well, yeah, the whole film is there, but also just cinematography wise, there's a lot of mileages being able to be we'll just get a top-down shot of the garden, and we'll just get and it's all very nicely symmetrical, and, it's great. So, again, this film did not have to, budget-wise, it did not have to have a huge budget because I believe they just let them film there. And so they were like, great. Look at it. This is, it's the set is done. The design is all there for us. So, this very, very elaborate Art Deco design we have thanks to shooting at this villa. So really, it was very simple. They get all these people together at the villa and, just shoot it basically in various rooms and settings on the villa. It's great. And, but my point being that it's very Christie-like to bring these people into an intimate location from varying backgrounds. And as you said, it's also very sort of like this 60s style of espionage type thriller thing going on of you don't know who you can trust, partially because you don't even culturally share relevance to each other. Who trusts a Frenchman, who's obviously got a drug addiction, and why am I going to trust this very strange man with a cane who seems to be very serious all the time? And Juan, of course, can't be trusted because he's always smoking cigars and sweating.
Just imagine what that fucking foyer smells like.
Mm-hmm.
They have 7 different decanted bottles of different whiskeys.
It's great.
And liquors. They got you see a clear one, a red one. It's it's got everything under the sun. They're all smoking like chimneys.
I also loved when Claus picks up the decanter with his middle fingers.
Yes,
And
like
it's like swirling it around with his.
Yes,
I was like, I've never even thought to do.
Yeah, it's so high class and prickly. Like you
Yeah.
think, like you would see, like what's his nuts? Who's the blonde ass little shithead from Harry Potter?
Oh,
'Cause he's got the same
Malfoy.
hair. Yeah, like
So
like if he was like an adult, like
I know. Yes. I was like, wow, that's like a great. I mean, if I don't know, I doubt that was written in. I think that's something that Stan O'Gadwin did, and it's just like a great little smarmy little thing that he does of like, this is how I pour my decanter.
Which again too, it makes it more Lupin-y because it is like a character, like so caricature, and like everyone here is also too. They do lean into like their fucking like like. Well, because he's German, they'll have him be like 9-9, and like really kind of lean into this, the trope and stereotype. Not too bad, but I mean, it's just they're just cartoonish and
sure,
definitely like played up, not in a bad way. I think the film works well enough. The idea, like this is like. Something that, at the time was definitely not, original because they were pumping out, films like this in this mid to late 60s left and right. But like now watching it, it's like refreshing because it's like, when's the last time you've seen like a film like this from Hollywood?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Forever.
Sure. Yeah, it's almost like, well, I mean, I guess now we're kind of getting that with the Knives Out style of hearkening back to Agatha Christie. And it's, I think it like, again, even those are very difficult to try to mimic the style of these types of movies because, again, the Knives Out is like vastly over budgeted compared to something like A Hyena and a Safe, which is like very intimate because it had to be very intimate, right?
Well,
like
also too, though, like I think the fact though that again, like the 60s aesthetic, is also something that I think like
it's hard.
You can't replicate.
Yeah.
Like, and it just makes it that much, at least for me, because again, I'm a big fan of this like kind of look and aesthetic of the time, the mid 60s, late 60s. So it works. Like, everyone looks dapper and wonderful. The only ones that don't are the two poor women in this film.
Yes, because
awful dresses.
Yeah.
Awful makeup. Well, three women, sorry. And the hair. Why is like one of them? Why is Anna like have like a little bell knob and then she puts it like under her chin like a fucking fucking helmet?
I don't think I've ever seen, even from the 60s. I don't think I've seen a hairstyle quite like that. Where like I think I've probably in my wildest dreams maybe. Imagine somebody doing that just like in a goofball way. Look, I could tie my hair underneath my chin, but like just to wear it as a serious hairstyle.
Not only that, the poor Janini's got this awful Nancy Sinatra boots are made for walking. Fuck, I could take a bullet to it. Rag of a hair. Like, to be honest with you, I think it's like a wig, and they all have very terrible, like, why couldn't you just have your normal eyebrows? Why'd they have to be these penciled in incredibly they just look hideous. I don't know the only reason you could think of like why these men are ogling and like because it's just all they're doing is drinking and smoking
they've been
cigars.
Stuck in this villa for like one day. What do you expect them to do?
There's no Playboy around.
They're wild. Raging.
At least in Honor Her Majesty's Secret Service, James Bond, George Lazenby, he gets to read Playboy, halfway through.
I can't tell or not if that's Christina Guyoni's real hair. It might be. I feel like they were going for like, well, she's kind of trampy, like on purpose, like sort of.
No, I get it, but it's like it's just a very like I said, like Nancy Sinatra. Boots are made for walking. This thing could take a bullet for you.
I know Anna, her hair for a good portion of the movie, it looks like she has bangs for days. Like they just keep going up her head, and you're like, how does she have so much bang going on? Like, where does the bang stop and the rest of the hair begin?
Wraps around her head.
Yes. And then, Karina has more of that sort of like 60s flip do going on. Like that one is probably most.
She's the most, balanced of the three.
Yeah.
Like, style wise and look, but holy shit, the other two is just.
Yeah.
They spent all the money on poor the French guy's coat.
Albert's nice, that crazy stripy coat
jacket,
that he's got. So what do you? So like the whole idea of the movie, right, is that there is this safe that these 6 people can open because they have these keys. They have 6 keys. The keys open the safe. The safe is in a fountain that they raise up from below to get to the safe. And then, like I said, they have.
Did you hear Burt Ward yell in the background? Holy waterfall, Batman!
Yeah,
things like coming out of the wall.
And not only do they have to have the 6 keys, but like inside the safe is really what they want, which is these like a package of diamonds that they've stolen from the Bank of Amsterdam. And the film really is very vague about how this all occurred, right? So it's like these people were somehow involved. There was a heist. The Bank of Amsterdam one of the vaults was drilled into. They grabbed the diamonds. They snuck them out with this vault. And now they've kept it for this one day of the year, which happens to be Carnival, which is an Italian thing. Like we don't have this holiday, but in Italy, they celebrate this holiday called Carnival, where everybody goes. It's kind of like, it seems like a New Year's Eve style celebration.
I think they do in Brazil too.
Yeah, and
why are they wearing like fucking sombreros and
I don't know honestly.
Maybe they stumble from like a Western, spaghetti Western set during it because why am I drawing a blank? The fucking not poncho, the
the serape.
Yeah, like they're wearing like that and a sombrero.
Yeah. I don't know really the full extent of Carnival, unfortunately.
We're not.
But I do like though when the jeweler guy comes in and the one woman just like blows confetti all over him. He's like, and he's just walking with his nice suit down the path with the confetti just covering him. I thought that was great. But yeah, but the idea is that these people are meeting during Carnival so that like there's no suspicion, and they're going to open the safe. They're all brought their keys, or so they thought, although Albert can't find his because he's a drug addict, and it's sort of like having Donald Trump Jr. over there who has no idea what's going on, and basically. And he brings Janine, who is his girlfriend, and not involved in the heist whatsoever. And he just like shows up with it. Everybody's like, why would you bring this person who's not even involved in this? And you like thought it was a good idea. It's already setting the stage for this anxiety that's going to play out as the 6 of them begin to try to figure out ways to make sure that they don't need to split the diamonds, so that they can, they can get more of their share. So ultimately, the whole idea is that this anxiety starts to spiral, and eventually Albert's the first one who ends up dead, and no one really knows who did it, but they just know someone probably killed him because he misplaced that key and he was trying to, screw with us for some reason. And so eventually it just keeps spiraling, and people start dying, and people dwindle, and the film starts out as like, who did it? But then eventually it reveals many of the characters who've done it. And actually, it's multiple people, right? Like, so there's no real one killer like in a giallo film where it's like, somebody's targeting all of these people. They're mostly doing some infighting here to kill each other off.
The thing is with that infighting, though, is there's not enough. The dialogue, I don't think, is good enough to make it be really intriguing. They just kind of like split off, and they're like, "What do you think?" "I don't know. What do you think?" "We got to find a way to get that money." "Yeah, we got to find a way to get that money." "Okay," and that's it. And then it's like keeps doing that like 4 different times, and then eventually is like, haha, so-and-so did that.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I do think that the middle act of this movie is very slow. It's, I think to some extent it is, like you said, doesn't do enough to really cement the suspicions. It repeats itself over and over again. There's a lot of female wiles to this as well, like sort of a Black Widow-esque element to it, where Janine is really obviously playing Albert, and she's playing Juan as well when he, basically comes on to her and makes her sleep with him. And then on the other hand, you have Anna, who it seems really like the brains of this operation for the most part, even though her not her husband, but she makes that clear in the film that he wasn't her husband, but her live-in conspirator Boris has died. She really seems like the brains of this operation, and I think the film kind of plays its hand a little bit when it shows you that somebody has a camera in the crystal chandeliers, and we get to see multiple times this person managing the cameras throughout the building as they're looking down from the chandeliers to watch what everybody is doing. And I think it's pretty clear right then and there. It's like, okay, well, it has to be Anna. She's the only one that has access to the whole property, right? I don't know. Did you feel like that too? Like when you saw this like Bondian, or it almost reminds me of Claw from Inspector Gadget, who's like, yes, and you only see the hand watching the video cameras. It definitely like made me think immediately, like, this can only really be Anna. There's no other explanation for this video camera.
Yeah, I was going to ask you what your thoughts on the red herring attempt, because usually in these films, it's part of the fun. You're given red herring so you can be like, who done it?
Yep.
Be engaged in the mystery. Problem is, though, they do that for like a second, and then it goes off to the wayside. I think it's a really wasted opportunity for the story, because I was thinking the whole time, well, we know it's got to be Anna, but also, too, we're starting to see, as you were saying, like somebody's watching the cameras, like in the chandeliers, like Claw. Like I was thinking, like, it's got to be Boris. Like, It's all just one big clever ruse that they did, to screw over their partners in crime. Boris is actually alive, and
and
they're going to take him out, and it doesn't end up being that clever. It's just like, oh, it's her and Steve, and her and Juan, and her and, they're all just, fighting. She's just, doing the whole Black Widow bit of like giving the coochie away, and then they're like, you whore, you woman, I love you, you whore, you love you betrayed me, so.
Yes. Yeah, I do think that there was some element where they could have worked in Boris, because again, there's a lot of red herrings on that aspect to kind of indicate that potentially he is still around, because again, his grave is empty. There's like that whole idea of like there is a grave, and they keep messing with the letters, and like the names of his name on the grave is like all wiggly wobbly, and they're able to move the letters around and stuff. So it does indicate
there's some asshole flying around going, "I'm the boss. I want I want half the diamonds." Like
that. That is pretty hilarious too, because that is very much like over the top sort of Get Smart style, like villain flying around and just hovering in the helicopter around the villa, like, I'll be down there soon. You guys better prepare. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You just hear him yelling like, "Call back!" Yes, that is very, very funny when that actually occurs, because for the most part, this film really does try to take itself pretty seriously, but then you just got this guy hovering around in a helicopter for no reason. So, yeah, it's hilarious. But yes, in a lot of ways, again, this movie does remind me of, kind of a tongue-in-cheek Bond film. It has a lot of that type of 60s technology of like what the 60s thought would be sort of a futuristic technology. So you've got, like I said, the crystal chandeliers that have cameras in them that apparently can just like zoom in and out and zoom, and You don't really see the zoom, but you can see clearer sometimes. And
See, God bless like the film restoration because like it makes it all look good and not like shit as it probably would have originally. It actually looks like like nice camera.
Yeah, you've got like the whole garage that's electrified. So like there's this Juan goes. Anna talks him into going to the garage. He's like, oh, yeah, just go open the garage and get the car ready and everything. We'll get out of here. And he goes to the garage, puts his hand on the door, and shocked, dead.
You could have Will Ferrell as Mustafa being like, oh, yes, my hands are very, very badly burned. Can somebody get me some ointment so I can get to the site?
Yes.
Not only that, the fucking Klaus death where she cons him into going down to the garage and he's like, all right, I didn't get shocked. Which again, I was thinking the whole time he's sitting there like throwing a key on to see like if like it was electrocuting people. Put a pair of rubber gloves on, you dipshit. 2, when he opens it up and the door closes, like he calls the phone and he's like, hello, oh Anna, the door's locked. What am I gonna do? And she's like, do you hear that? And he's like, hear what? And she's like, that's the sound of death. And then she starts flooding the place in the most slow, hilarious, because it keeps going for him to like, oh no, I'm gonna drown. To her and the one guy standing there with like elevator music playing, like, it's just so ridiculous. Like, why the fuck? You could have just like shot the guy. Like, why did you have to put him in?
Right. Yeah. There's a very elaborateness to the fact that you got to send him to the garage, close the garage door automatically from like, remote control, then flood the garage, recognize that he's, it's flooded enough that he's going to drown, and then open the garage back up so that it all drains back out. I don't know.
It's like 10 minutes, and it's like funny, but it goes on too long. I do like the fact that they got Albert's like grayed up dead body cockeyed, like, they're constantly like panning to him. And you got Klaus yelling, like, I don't want to die. I don't want to die. Like, what a manly man he is. And, which he's a dumbass too, because the whole thing didn't get flooded. It didn't flood to the top. If he didn't go into the car, sit in the car, he could have like been fine. We see tin cans, like castor oil, like floating at the top. So it's like, but all you had to do was just sit there, because But like, it's just hilarious because it's like you went through all that trouble when you had a gun like 2 minutes ago. You could have just plugged the guy when he wasn't looking.
Guess that's too cold-blooded for her. She would have to do the job herself.
All I'm thinking of is Seth Green and Austin Powers. Like, wait, you're not gonna watch this? Make sure he's dead.
Yeah.
Why don't we? I got a gun in my room. Why don't we go out back and go, bam, he'll be dead. Scott, you just don't get it, do you?
and then so that's kind of sets us up for the ending of the movie, which is it actually has like 3 endings, right? Like it just keeps going with its endings. So the first ending is that, Anna's the only one left with the jeweler guy. So this jeweler guy who's just been sitting around here. Again, this guy has been called in like the next day after they know that they don't have the keys. They don't have all 6 keys. He just comes on the property. He's just sitting there around like, I guess I'm just getting a free vacation in this village. Just like sitting around, just doing nothing. There's booze on the counter. I can just sit around.
When they tell me to like, someone's dead to throw their satchel away of their share, I just go, whoop,
yep. And he's just waiting to appraise the jewels, basically. And so eventually at the end, it's just Anna and him, and it kind of makes it seem like, they've been working together. This guy is, working with Anna, and they're going to he's going to appraise the jewels, and then they're going to make off with them. Well, at the end, Anna is able to get all the keys, take the jewels out, and then he starts fondling them, and he's like, you know what? These aren't even real. These are fake gems. Very good fake gems, but they're fake gems. And so you've got nothing here. And that's why the cops weren't interested in this, because you've drilled into the wrong vault. And eventually, so like that causes Anna to go insane, right? And there's like this little psychedelic spin around of her going nuts.
Hence the hyena, because she's left, like,
Exactly.
Oh.
And then, so eventually the film ends, and I actually like this. This is a really strange thing in the movie, and it's something that if you've watched a lot of Italian movies or even, classic movies in general, you would be expecting this to occur. So at the end, after Anna goes crazy and the jeweler's kind of walking away, there's this little yellow blob that comes into the corner of the movie. And you're expecting it to come up and be like Fine or End or, Fin, whatever. Because that's generally how these types of films ended. And really interestingly, the blob just sits there in the left-hand corner for like another 5 minutes of the film running. As the jeweler goes out to his car and meets with another woman, and he's like, "Yep, she fell for it. I told her they were fake and they're really real. So I've got to stick around here, and we're gonna get these jewels back." And then you're like, "Okay, all right." So he was in on it too. So now he's gonna steal the jewels. The end. Nope, the Fine doesn't pop up yet again. Now he calls like the international insurance agency. He's like, "Yes, this is Inspector so-and-so, and I found the jewels, and you guys can come and pick them up." And then we're expecting to wait for them. And eventually, his girlfriend drives off with the jewels, and that's still not the end. It's a very elaborate ending to this movie of the conclusion, where it's just like, I feel like there was a sort of a thought that it was like, well, you know what, maybe this movie of like a whodunit to a whydunit to a whatdunit isn't really all that surprising. So we're gonna have like these multiple fake out endings. What do you think about the fake outs?
It would have been fine if it just ended with the fake out. Just like have it be like he tricks her and then they make off with it.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually a really dumb bitch. Woo! Let's go, hon. We're going to, not this. Oh, they're real. Hold on. I gotta call the insurance to let them know that we have them back. Yep, nope, no problem. Hey, you gotta get those back, hon. Whoop, I got pushed out of the car. Womp, womp, the end. It's just too much. Like, it's.
I feel like it was a way to sort of work in this, what I said in my review is like a Poirot-esque type, or even, you could say now a Lupin-esque like inspector person that is the one that's been, facilitating things all around. At the same time, though, do you really think the insurance company is going to be like satisfied when he says like, "Yeah, I watched them murder each other, but we got the jewels back"? Like, the police are going to come in and be like, "You're an accomplice, man." You're like,
yeah, like what happened?
You just sat around while they all killed each other?
No, don't worry. I'm back in Amsterdam. It's okay. We're fine.
Yeah. It's very elaborate to say the least. And I think it's it's an interesting approach. I think it is cool though the way that they put that little blob in there to sort of.
I was wondering if it was like at first if it was like a misprint or something. It was like I was expecting it to pop off like the end, and it's just sitting there, and I'm like, "What the hell?" And like,
why is experimental? Yeah, it's very cool. What do you think about the soundtrack? Because we haven't talked about that, but that is really the first and last thing that you're presented with in this movie. Is this very wacky, zany soundtrack?
Again, like I hate to constantly say it, but it is like Lupin the Third, like the original Green Jacket series, where the music is just like ever present and like silly, like like Lupin. Yeah, he's a nice guy, man. The machine cry, bang bang. Yeah. There's no music here that like has words like that, but it's just like the opening, like woman walking, like 20 minutes. Hey, they're talking. It's fun and very Italian, and like it's sometimes misplaced and sometimes overused, but I find it to be fun enough. Like it's like enjoyable, makes it like feel more quirky and like cartoony.
I do think like it's meant in a little bit to be a reference to the fact, which I also think that the carnival is sort of more importance than it initially appears, in that the film does make a point to show that carnival is happening and people are having a lot of fun at carnival, right? But then these people, very serious crooks, worked very hard to, get these jewels and then start killing each other off. They're not having much fun, right, during carnival. And I think it is a reference to the fact that, like, crooks, while they think they're going to make it rich, the work is not worth it. And you're putting yourself in unnecessary danger while other people are just off living their life during carnival. And I do think that the film's soundtrack is in an attempt to sort of mimic that idea of, like, look at this, it's almost like a ridiculousness to the fact that these people are putting in all of this work to try to make a quick buck when it's not worth it. So that's my thought on the zany soundtrack. I mean, it's definitely not out of place for an Italian film such as this. This was a pretty common thing to have in movie soundtracks at the time. But it is noticeable, because the film, I think it really only has that one song. I think there's another song that it does incorporate, but that's just on the radio. I think the primary element is this one song that it has on the soundtrack that kind of facilitates the whole movie. Anything else that I didn't bring up or we discussed?
I think that covers it.
I think so too. All right, so we have to give A Hyena in the Safe rating. So, on a scale of 0 to 10, outrageous covered pools, hexagonal covered pools, what would you give A Hyena in the Safe?
That could very well be a Pauly Shore and Baldwin brother movie.
There you go.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was fun enough. Pleasantly surprised by this one. I like the whodunit heist aspect of it. I like the aesthetic and style for a low budget film. It does a pretty damn good job of looking good. There's a lot of really good, I think, cinematography in this film. They do a lot of really good shots, like the whole pushing the whiskey cart in the parlor over to, the one guy was a really nice shot. The close up, the guy's watching the car in the beginning, with the film looks good. I think everyone does a good job. No one's a great actor. They're competent. I think it works though, and it also works against it because, again, it's an Italian film. They don't ever fucking record audio, so there's a lot of acting that is overly dramatic and ridiculous and looks silly and nonsensical with dialogue and expression through the voice once it's redubbed that don't really match up. But that's, again, an Italian thing, and it works for this film. It's definitely a fun enough film. There's the story's not great. There's a lot of idiot inconsistencies, and for a whodunit, it's not that. Excuse me, not that engaging, but I think it is fun enough, and I did I did like it quite a bit. It was nice to just turn off and enjoy the show. So 7 out of 10. I was pleasantly surprised by this one.
Yeah, I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. I think it's a pretty good movie. I think that at least on the Blu-ray, the critics and essayists made a good case for the reason why this movie, it may be better thematically and cinematographically than it might be plot-wise, on the surface. However, I do think that it is also a fairly overall slow movie. I don't think that it does a great job of setting up the characters. As you said, it does kind of stagnate in that second act where basically everyone is doing the same thing, which is just sitting in a room, probably drinking, smoking, and talking about what they're going to do or how they're going to get the jewels or keys or whatever. It doesn't move very far from where it starts, and I think that's probably one of the biggest issues with the movie, that it takes a really, really long time to get into the meat of the plot. When it gets there, though, when it gets to this sort of Bondian style of, giallo film, like proto-giallo, again, doesn't really share that many similarities to what we consider like a regular giallo or a 1970s style giallo. Once it gets to that point where it sort of starts to mimic like the Agatha Christie and Then There Were None, I think it gets to be kind of interesting and goes in experimental directions, sometimes psychedelic directions. But it just takes a long time to get there, so you really have to sit through that. I think the second act is really the one where it goes off the rails a little bit. With that said, I think it's a pretty interesting movie all around. One that's not very, watched much, not recognized, doesn't have any characters or actors that you would like pinpoint or know. So with that said, I think it has a lot going for it that would offer itself up to people who do appreciate films of this time period. And, as a precursor to some of the other giallo films of the time, and even the German creamy or the, some of the British tea cozy mysteries that we get. I think it's an interesting enough film, and I think there is an audience out there for it. So 6.5 out of 10 for me. All right. Well, that's our episode on A Hyena in the Safe. What do you think? What do you think you want to do next in about 2 weeks? Any ideas?
Are we going back to Woodsboro?
It's not till February, though. I don't think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Scream 7 in February. But I would be interested in seeing that new...
Do you think, sorry to cut you off,
yeah.
Do you think Scream 7 is going to be, because it's February, Valentine's Day massacre?
Oh, I don't know. That'd be cool. Like they did Halloween, right, in their the previous one. Now they're going to incorporate Valentine's Day. I'd be fine with that. I think it's cool. I think, like, again, Scream as a whole, as a genre, is sort of like treading water at this point. Like, it really has no idea what it's doing. So it's just throwing stuff. So if it wants to do Valentine's Day, sure, let's do it.
Are you saying without Kevin Williamson and Wes Craven, it's a rudderless ship?
Well, I actually think Scream 7 is Kevin Williamson production.
Oh!
I believe. So there is reason.
Yep. Oh, and he's directing it and written.
So there is reason to be interested. At the same time, everything I've seen so far about it makes me not interested.
Okay, hold on. Premise. Sidney Prescott has built a new life for herself in the quiet town of Pine Grove. Hold on. She's rebuilt her life in like 4 different films.
Yeah, exactly.
Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream 5.
Now her daughter becomes the target. Yeah, it's like exactly the same idea. So I'll be interested to see what Kevin Williamson can bring to this, though. See if he can breathe new life into Scream. But what I was going to say is I am interested in seeing this new Sam Raimi movie, Send Help. I would be interested in covering that one. That one releases on January 30th. So maybe not for next time, but the episode after we would do.
So we can probably double up with that and the new Scream.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's funny. This is how, I have it set to my phone, not, have Facebook track shit. When you mentioned that, I was like, oh, I haven't heard of it. What popped up on Facebook? The Send Help trailer.
Yeah, I just recently saw that it was coming out, and I really didn't know anything about it. So I'm interested for that. And we'll probably pick something in between.
This looks like a really weird sequel to Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange. I almost said Doctor Strange Love.
Yeah. And then there's always, too, we never did 28 Years Later. And then the new one is actually coming out.
We never
this
did.
Week.
We haven't done 28
weeks later either.
Yeah. We've only done the first one.
Yeah. So like those are
what in the hell is going on for them to pump out these films like left and right now? Like,
yeah,
is that Ray Fiennes in there?
Yeah.
Is like,
I don't know.
Is he? Has he reached the level? I mean, he is getting there, so it makes sense. But has he like reached the thespian level of like a
just
Sir Patrick Stewart, and, Ian McKellen, and like Christopher Lee, where he's just doing it for the love of the game? Like,
Possibly,
like I know.
He's just showing up. No, I don't know. Like I said, again, I mean, yeah, 28. We didn't see 28 years later. I don't know what all of a sudden they were thinking where they were like, you know what we need to do? Franchise it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's what, because I told you, I was like, do you want to go watch 28 years later? And you're like, absolutely not. I was like, because I remember like lobbying for it just because I was like, hey, well, I mean, I don't blame you, but it's just funny though. Like, out of all the films in the world to like crawl out of the dead for a
Yeah, I know.
And I've only seen 28 weeks later, I think once.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, no, I haven't.
Because it came out
twice.
Because it was coming out like right at the time when like you couldn't escape anything zombies. So they were just fucking everywhere. I know 28 days later is ahead of the curve, but still, like, it's like, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll pick something else for next time, and we'll see what happens. All right, well, thanks for listening to our episode. Hope you're having a good 2026 so far.
And we're gonna sneak in a blaxploitation.
There you go. That's right.
We'll have to do like Black Dynamite.
There you go. If you want to hear anything we talked about, or stay up to date with what we're doing, you should subscribe to us on pretty much any podcast app you could think of. We're on Apple Podcasts or Homebase at Spotify, whatever you use. I'm sure we're on it. Subscribe, leave us a nice review. We have Facebook and Blue Sky. Search for us on there, Blood and Black Rum Podcast. You can also write to us at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. Let us know what you like, what you don't like, what movies you want us to watch, and we'll keep that in mind. And you can also donate to us on our Patreon page. Anything you donate goes back towards beer, so we appreciate that in advance. Thanks for listening to our episode on A Hyena in the Safe. Check it out on Blu-ray from Celluloid Dreams. So, you can find that. And if you order it from their website, you get like 8 photo boost stills that you can get. So the like lobby cards that we used to have way back when. Well, the photo boost were the Italian versions of those, and you get like reprints of them. It's pretty cool. I have the 8 reprints myself, so pretty awesome. But anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you next time. Until then,
take care.